Hi, this is JP Morgan and Lars Lindstrom. This is our recap of NAB, and it was out of this world! Great, let's do it.
So now that we're back on Earth, we're going to bring you up to speed here on NAB and all the things that happened this last month.
A lot happened.
A lot to talk about.
Always is after NAB, which is good.
Absolutely. If there isn't something to talk about after NAB, then that's really sad.
I feel like it's the year of the cinematographer.
It certainly is. Not the year of the still photographer. Although Canon's, we've talked about it, the new Canon cameras that are coming out are really major still photography advancements. But
yeah, I just don't know.
But NAB is a video.
But I feel like it was busier than ever, and I just feel like everyone wants to talk about it. I mean, I bring out stabilizing equipment at venues now or events, and everybody wants to talk about it. And it's I've seen this. It's kind of like
you're talking about the average Joe.
Average Joe. I feel like it's the year. It's the year where it's just like, okay, it's now officially hip to be into video.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So,
well, I've been saying for 5 years that the visual frontier is video on the internet. But what's happened now is because everyone's gravitating that way. Everybody and their uncle and their aunt
wants to shoot video, high quality, and they're interested in the technical aspects. So it's
become achievable for your average person because the equipment's become so, which leads me right into what I thought was one of the most exciting things at NAB, the Ronin M.
Yeah.
You have a $1,399 stabilization rig, with a 3-axis gimbal.
And we went from MoVi, which announced this, 2 years ago?
When MoVi came out, it was almost 20.
Yeah.
It was almost 20. It's incredibly, maybe it was 15, but you're going from 15. Last year it was around 10. Then they dropped down to 5 for some of these smaller rigs. You're thinking, wow, 5, I can get into one of these. Now, $1,399. I did look at some of the footage. Did you look at any of the footage shot on it? It looked really good, but sometimes, I don't know. I don't want to make any judgment until I get to use one. Yeah. But there were some times when it just felt a little weird to me, the movement. I don't know why that is.
Weird. So there's, it still
I don't know how to explain that. That's not a very scientific.
With Steadicam, your up and down axis is corrected, right? You're on a spring and it's supposed to stay steady. You start to tilt left to right on a Steadicam. That's where that gets tricky. On a Ronin, it's the opposite. So your left to right axis is stable, but your up and down, you have nothing to correct for that. And so even though like when you tilt, it'll stay level, but if you actually physically move the camera down or up as you're walking, because that tends to happen, it will float.
It floats a little bit.
And so it's not like the thing just is magical.
No,
it still takes practice.
You've got to practice any of these. Although, do you see this? This thing has what they call double hand. They have a briefcase mode.
Right? And they had that in the old one too.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's cool. So you can actually just go like
and then
on
upside down,
and it automatically corrects. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Supposedly, it's like quick to calibrate itself out of the box. The handles come off, so you can break it down.
Yeah, so it's weighs 5 pounds, which is lighter, I think, a lot lighter than the other one.
A lot lighter.
But its max weight is now 8 pounds. So the other one had a max weight of, I think, 13 pounds. So you could put an Epic on it with a pretty decent lens. The 8 pounds you could still probably do maybe a Dragon with like a smaller lens or something really stripped down. Possibly you'd really start hitting that max weight pretty soon.
With the Ronin M, I'm going to get mine here at Sammy's. They absolutely have it, and I'm going to order mine immediately. I want to be the first one to get it.
It's like $13.99.
$13.99. You can't beat that.
I can't believe how good a deal that is.
Yep. You can go to Sammys.com or you can get it in their stores. So
please do.
$13.99.
I think I might get one. Yeah,
of course you will.
Well, with C100, A7S, like I've got these cameras that like
you're going to use that. I'm curious. I want to see you use it and see how you feel about it compared to using your glide cam, because you're an expert at glide cam. So I want to see how you feel with those. Let's get one. Yep. And let's see you glide cam a shot, and let's see. Then I'll do it out of the box.
Okay.
And we'll see how they compare.
We'll compare them. Okay. I love that idea. That's
great. I do too.
We'll do it here in Sammy's.
We'll do it here in Sammy's. Great idea.
Yeah. All right.
So as soon as it comes in, hopefully Michelle will call us.
Yeah.
And we'll get right over here. So.
Awesome.
All right. Very good. Okay, so moving from 3-axis gimbals to 1,000,001 helicopters is what an NAB.
Yeah,
everyone has a helicopter.
Yeah, there's that new company that came out with the Solo, 3DR, I think it was. Yeah, came out with a new quadcopter. It's kind of just like everything that sucked about them is now not sucky at all.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's amazing. So you can do like, you basically control it from your iPhone or an iPad, and you say follow that person. So you click on a person, you hit a person, and it locks in on a human being,
and it follows.
And like they'll be like running or something, and it'll follow.
Oh, there's a Big Brother thing going already.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
And follow this person.
And follow him.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can also do rotation. So you can select an object and say do a big circle around
360?
that. Yeah, and it'll do it automatically, and it'll the camera moves smoothly. You can also say here's a point A that I really like, and here's a point B that I really like. Now create a line in between those two, and get there smoothly, and it'll do that. So I mean, there's like there's a lot that's just like all the things that were really frustrating about trying to get like a good looking image as a single operator with some of these other drones is now eliminated, and they've really
incredible.
fixed those.
What kind of a price range?
Oh, they're cheap. I think it was like $1,400.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Is that the new price range?
It's
$1,400.
Yeah, $1,400 for everything at NAB. I didn't get to try one out. I just saw the videos, and of course they had a whole bunch of like demonstrations of what you could do, and what you can do in theory is amazing. So I want to get my hands on one and really try it out.
Yeah, that's what it works like.
Yeah.
See what it works like. There we
go. See what it works like.
All right. Let's go on here. BlackMagic has a new micro camera.
They got a lot. BlackMagic has the new Ursa Mini, which is really great because the Ursa, when we first looked at it, was 16 pounds and had an iPad that flipped out.
It was a total iPad.
What am I supposed to do with this? And like, if you ever had it in shoulder mode and pulled the iPad out, it was the funniest thing.
It's like you can't see anything.
No, it was just this. It was this in front of your face, and it was like, okay, this is great. But so the new Ursa Mini, it's got a better ergonomics, and it's I think 6 pounds. So it's a lot lighter, a better sensor. You have a 4.6K, 15-stop dynamic range sensor. They did a lot, actually. And the Ursa Mini, I think, is what the Ursa was supposed to be, and it's I think it's going to be a very successful camera.
So it's an E&G camera?
Not really, no, because you've got a large sensor. So E&G cameras are great if you just need just a really nice dynamic range, a good image, but everything in focus, kind of a deal. This is more for the cinematographer. It falls right in the line of the FS7 from Sony, or the C100, or maybe even 300 from Canon. And
Really?
it's got a large sensor and high frame rates, and I think it's going to be a really great camera for people. They also came out with a very high quality eyepiece, a 1080p eyepiece. So that's like you need it, and it's expensive. It was $1,500, but it was very high quality, and it seemed to be in a nice customizable piece. So yeah, and then the mini camera, of course,
which you weren't that impressed with.
Well, I just don't. I'm sure there's going to be people out there that will have a use for a small, like a micro camera. It didn't have a screen, and it didn't have a way to record internally. So this is the kind of camera that you maybe do mount on a stabilizer, and then get your whole rig, your
everything else
follow
goes on,
focus,
yeah,
and your wireless video transmitter, and just a lens, so you can put your Shogun up top and have a monitor and a recorder all in one. So, but I didn't really see. For me personally, I have no use for it. So I'm wondering, who do you think
so
out there is going to use it?
It's not a production camera. I mean, is it? I mean, it's not your. Maybe it's more studio or cars. You put it on cars.
Yeah.
Mount them on cars. You get helicopters. Those kinds of uses where you want to get small cameras in small places.
The problem for me though is that you still need a way to record. So if you're going out to recorder anyway, then that's just more cable, it's more adapters,
stuff,
it's just stuff that's just going to be there. And I would have mounted it on a car. That'd be the worst place. Unless you had a long HDMI run that you could bring it inside the car, an SDI run, that you actually have your recorder and monitor in there, which you would want anyway. So that's maybe not a terrible option. So I just don't know where the world of this micro camera is. If they had like an internal micro SD card thing or something like that, maybe.
That surprised me that there's no internal recording at all. It just surprises me.
And there's no screen, so I just don't know. I don't know where the use is. So maybe you guys...
We'll have to call our good friend Tor over at BlackMagic and see how Tor's doing and have him give us a little update. He'll have really good reason this camera exists.
Yeah, he will. Absolutely. And do you? I'm curious.
Absolutely.
Put in the comments if you guys have any ideas or suggestions of what you would use this the new BlackMagic micro camera for.
Great to hear the application.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Shogun. I want to talk about Shogun. I was really excited to see the new firmware updates that the Shogun's got going on. Before, for me, the Shogun wasn't really. I was like, well, I could get one for my A7S, but then I'd still need. If I wanted to do something for my Alexa, do Airy Raw recording, I'd still need to get something like an Odyssey or something different. But now they've got raw recording available coming out in June for the Shogun recorder. So they've stripped down the package. You can get a cheaper version. You can get one for $1,700 without some of the accessories. And they've updated it so it can do anamorphic D-squeeze. They've updated it so that you can eventually do raw recording from Canon Raw, Airy Raw, a lot of different options there. So I mean, this is something that Odyssey used to charge $2,000 solely for the license of Airy Raw. Okay, so more than the cost of the recorder, Odyssey was charging just for the license, so that you could say this can record Airy Raw now. So they're offering that for free.
But all this is going back to having a small camera. I mean, you're moving this back to
bigger.
You're taking everything off the camera into this recording device. So why not go the direction of the BlackMagic, where you have a smaller camera and?
Yeah, I mean, and that's possibly an option. That's why I have an A7S.
Yeah. You're something that's more stripped down. And
A7S is still great because I can still record internally, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have that option, which is really good.
But I'm really excited about the Shogun because now I can use my A7S and record 4K. And I can use it on my Alexa and record Airy Raw, and get a higher resolution.
So for you, because you have those two platforms. So for me, I have an A7S. I use it on the A7S. What advantage is this new step other than you can do raw recording, which is?
For an A7S, it still does the 4K and does a great job at that. And I don't think there's any super huge advantages to this firmware update.
So the firmware just hit a point for you of you can use it with your Alexa and you can use it with your A7S.
The firmware update for me, it was just like, this is perfect. And it's like $1,700, and I don't have to pay $2,000 for a license to record on my Airy Raw Alexa. So it's just, for me, it was just like, oh my gosh. So
the fact that it records RAW now for the A7S is a huge deal.
I don't think it records RAW for the A7S.
Okay, well then that's not a huge deal.
Yeah, no, so because it does do Sony RAW for their F5 camera, F55, which is great, but it does Canon RAW, Airy Raw, Sony RAW for the cameras that are capable of doing RAW. But yeah, so for the A7S, it does record 4K at ProRes or DNX, and so it's still impressive. So let me get this straight. With the Shogun, they have a device that you bought, and they gave you a firm update. They gave you? They gave you. So they gave you. That's pretty impressive. And they didn't do the nickel dime thing saying, well, for $350, you can get your new firm. No, this was a free update. That's going to create market. That's going to create consumer loyalty. It's going to create a strong path going forward. They also just announced a new program where if you're a student, you get a 25% discount on any of their products from Atmos. 25. And that's that's a big discount if you can prove that you're a student. So. I don't know. I'm excited about it. I think the Shogun. Plus, you got anamorphic D-squeeze. At one point. Explain that anamorphic D-squeeze. Okay, so when you use an anamorphic lens, it sounds like a squish toy for the bathtub. Or yeah, exactly. An anamorphic D-squeezer. So when you use an anamorphic lens, the glass is oval shaped, so that when you de-squeeze it, so when you look at your actual image that you're recording, it looks all squished, and it's a 4:3 aspect ratio if you have a two-time de-squeezer. And so when you de-squeeze it, it stretches the image, and you've got beautiful lens flares that come in as streaks, and your bokeh in the background is a different shape, and it's an aesthetic look that a lot of cinematographers are really liking. And also you get the 2.4:1 aspect ratio without having to crop in on your pixels, right? So you're recording the full amount of pixels, de-squeeze it. So they have a 1.3 de-squeeze, a 1.5 de-squeeze, and a 2.0. So the 1.5 is new. 1.5 is kind of tagging into the GH4 market, and anything with a 16:9 sensor just a tiny bit of a different size. And so rather than having like a 4.3 sensor like the Alexa or a 16-ounce sensor, you've got this kind of in between 1.5. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
That gets pretty technical, and
we're de-squeezing here
de-squeezing.
on Trends from the Trenches.
Yeah, de-squeeze with us.
I think as LEDs go, Rosco introduced their new 1 foot by 1 foot panel. It's
powerful,
way powerful.
It's punchy.
Oh, it just gives you a really nice kick, a great light. I think it's called the Vector, and it's really one of the better lights they put out. LEDs. It really gets them into the LED market in a much stronger way.
Rosco they had those softer LEDs.
They've had some they're beautiful lights because they're soft and they're really pretty.
Incredible. It wasn't quite punchy enough for me.
Not quite punchy enough. This really solves that problem.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited about it.
So a kit of these, 3 of these in a case, you can carry those on the airplane. It's really easy to have an interview kit. You know, it gives you enough punch to start to compete with the sunlight in the room. Yeah,
right? They're thin and they're punchy, powerful LEDs.
Yeah, it's great little LEDs. It's definitely worth looking at.
Yeah.
So. All right, what else was interesting?
C300 Mark II was Canon's new cinema line camera that came out. So we have 12-bit internal recording, 4K internal recording, 120 frames at 2K. So I mean, there's like all the features that we wanted from the original are now implemented, but it's the same price point. It's still $16,000, and so.
It's still, you're in a...
You know, that's like, now so you're competing with the Sony FS7, which is $8,000, and kind of does all those same things. So half the price...
The Sony, oh, okay, yeah.
Half the price, and it does the same stuff. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this new camera. I think it's wonderful that they finally kind of took a hint and put, 12-bit, which is huge, because I think the last one was 8-bit. 10-bit with external, so like, so it's like not, they just didn't. It wasn't very great. But this one does, instead of 35 megabits per second, which was the original, it does 200. So quite a vast improvement on the amount of data it can record. So the bit depth is not phenomenal. Internal 4K is great, and high frame rates.
Don't you get the impression that Canon's like the big ship that just takes so long to correct? When you got these younger companies that are, although Sony's not a small company, but they've got a division there that's really responding to what's going on around them. I mean, they really are.
Yeah. Well,
I know, it just surprises me.
I think it's just a ping pong match. You know what I mean? Just kind of back and forth, and it's just, when Red first came out with the Red 1, they were the top dog, and now they're not. And so all these other cameras were like, okay, so Canon came out with the DSLR, and that was a big hit. Now it's just kind of balancing out. Canon will have another comeback.
Well, they have to. You've got to get in the still world. In the still world, moving forward, everyone has got to get on to the stabilization at the sensor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You like it?
Oh yeah. I mean, you're using something now that you can handhold at a much slower rate. Slower shutter speed. That's where it's going. I mean, everyone's going that direction. I think that's where it's going to happen. You put that with a stabilization in the lens, you got a pretty stable platform.
Yeah, I want to play with that. See
the Sony Mark II, the A7, yeah, the A7 Mark II is fabulous. Those two stabilizations together.
Wow, I want to try that out.
Yeah, it's worthwhile. But I just see Canon. Well, Canon's not even really in the mirrorless world yet. Not at all. So it's So there's the battle of this era, is mirrorless versus your old DSLR.
Yeah.
So, but mirrorless is going to win. It's just by virtue of weight and size, and that's just it's going to win.
6 months ago, we were talking about mirrorless like we just didn't understand it. And I remember having conversations going, "Is that really a thing? Are people going to like that?" And here we are saying that's the future.
Well, that's exactly it. And talking to some people at Sony just in the last couple of days, I mean, they're realizing that this camera now has catapulted them into the professional photography world. It really has. People are using it as a solution. It's no longer I don't know about that mirrorless. It's becoming a solution. It is a solution.
Red announced some cool stuff, I guess. They had an 8K VistaVision in a glass box that wasn't plugged in, that nobody could look at.
Can only stay on that bandwagon. I mean, that's the hard thing about this process, and this is really the era of, I have sitting on my shelf at home the 3 cameras that I made most of my money with my entire career. Yeah. 3 cameras. They never went out of date. They never changed. I made money with them year after year after year. Now we're in the era of, well, if you don't have the latest $8,000 to $10,000 camera in video, if you don't have the latest $20,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 camera, and they're changing every year. So it's consumerism. You have to make money in this business.
Yeah.
So you've got to get a platform, get into the platform, pay for the platform, and make it make money. You can't just keep spending it. I mean, you just can't.
I have people ask me all the time if I'm going to sell my C100s. I have 2 of them, the original. And I tell them no, not at all. Like I made C100, I have the Alexa and the C100s. The C100s has still been my wisest investment. Because I use them for a lot. I use them for all my events. I use them for documentaries. I use them for interviews. And they look good. And the client doesn't care at the end of the day if it's 4K or 1080p right now. And
no,
so
they don't right now.
For right now.
Although that's changing pretty quick.
Yeah.
TVs
I mean,
are coming
eventually, but it doesn't
they're talking
have to
8K.
be.
That was at NAB. They talked about 8K.
They did. And it's stupid.
That's what they said about 4K.
No, 4K. When 4K was announced, I thought, that's kind of cool. Because 4K's been around for years. You know, the red one shot 4K.
It just goes to 11. That's what it all feels like to me.
8K, I agree. I see the difference in 4K.
Well, yeah, of course you do. You know, it's fascinating. What's so funny to me about this, though, is that we keep making these things sharper and more detail, and then we wonder why it doesn't look like film. Yeah. And so then we go into post, and we degrade the image, and we slap grain on it, and we do all this stuff, try to make it look like film.
Yeah.
I'm going, well, why don't you just shoot with a sensor that's not so sharp? You got the whole world in there. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing, though, you have with the big sensors, you get a video image with shallow depth of field. That's why I've always stuck with the Mark IIIs. That's why I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just,
and
even
pixels,
though you think they're orange.
I do.
We have to say, and it is with heavy hearts, that on April 1st, April Fool's Day, that PhotoFlex announced that they'd gone out of business.
That's right.
And I thought that was really kind of interesting. On April Fool's Day, my daughter emailed me. She goes, "Is this for real?" I'm going, most companies probably wouldn't pull that joke.
No.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
We went out of business today.
Bankruptcy.
April Fools. It was too bad.
Too bad.
I've had an association with PhotoFlex for years and years and years since I met Gene Kester probably 25 or more years ago. Incredible man, and you know, just the industry is changing. All right, so there's our wrap up from NAB and a little bit of information from way out here in outer space. You know, outer space looks a whole lot like Sammy's in Pasadena.
In Pasadena, yeah.
It does.
Interesting.
It is. So you can catch this now on our YouTube channel, The Slanted Lens, and also we are posting all of our videos now on Facebook. Facebook with that, you know, there's something that's really interesting that's going on. Facebook is taking YouTube on in a major way.
I've noticed.
And they have now, they're hosting videos, they're posting videos, and so you can jump on there and get a great platform. So we're posting all of our lessons, all of our segments now to Facebook.
Cool.
Getting great exposure there. It is interesting. On Facebook, if you want a view on Facebook, someone has to watch the piece for 3 seconds.
No way. So
And
you have
that's
to just
considered a
scroll
view.
down because it starts automatically.
Yeah. And on YouTube, it's more like 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's
you know?
almost like, it's depending on the duration of the video, it's like half the
I've
video.
heard, yeah. So, and they've got to correct that, you know, right now. But we're getting great exposure there, and people are enjoying the lessons there on Facebook. So,
Great.
So now you're all wondering, why have we not had JP's Ugly Bag?
Why haven't we had JP's Ugly Bag?
Because I haven't had anything. No one sent me anything interesting to put in it. But today, I have 2 very interesting things to put in my Ugly Bag.
Okay.
And there goes my gun.
There goes your gun. You
That's
can't have
right.
mine.
I'm without a gun. I'm feeling not safe out here in space.
In space.
I have 2 things in my Ugly Bag.
Okay.
First off, Tiffen just introduced a whole series of long exposure filters.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to get a shot of this here, Kate. So these are for they're 10 stops.
All of them.
Each of them, they're all 10 stops. But what they are, they have different IR absorption, infrared absorption. The first one has no infrared absorption, and then it goes up to, it says basic and then professional.
Yeah.
But IR, if you shoot a long exposure, and I've seen this in the past, you get this kind of purpley in the shadows. It can look really odd.
Yeah, or IR pollution, yeah.
Yeah, and so it helps to clean some of that up. So
for video too, certain sensors that are sensitive enough will pick up IR. So now all the new filters that are coming out, the real high-end ones, are hot mirror IR&D, and that's exactly what this is. Yeah.
Yep. So there you have it. Great series. We're going to take this out and do a lesson with it, do some long exposure photography, and just have some fun. So Tiffen, thank you very much. Great item there.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Something fun to do. All right. Next we have
not an ugly bag.
Not
inside
an ugly
JP's
bag.
ugly bag.
Not ugly bag inside my ugly bag. This is the series of bags I talked about last time together that I absolutely love. This is made by Hold Fast The name of this bag is the Roamographer.
Ooh.
It's actual buffalo hide.
Is it really?
It is. It's this is like a Western carpetbagger camera bag. I think they are so incredibly cool. But I love this kind of vintage stuff. It's just me.
Not carpetbagger, carpenter.
They used to call them carpet bags.
Because the carpetbaggers
They were made out of carpet.
Right?
Yeah, it's not a carpet bagger. You're right. It's a carpet bag. Because they were usually made out of carpet. But this is, so you got the nice leather bag.
What?
You've got the inserts, so it's a camera bag inside. You can pull this out if you want to just use this as
Picnic.
As a bag. But actually, pretty cool bags.
It is a really cool bag.
All natural buffalo hide.
Love that.
So coming soon, we have a complete review of the Roamographer by Holdfast. They have a large bag, both in black and brown, and a small in black and brown, but you'll see all those in that review, so check that out. Look for it. So that's what I have in JP's ugly bag. We are done with the ugly bag. Hey, you left with my bag. So what does Ken want to talk about? What do you want to talk about, Ken?
Storage.
Storage.
Well,
that's a good topic.
Well, think about it. You shot film how many years?
Oh my. 15, 20, oh more.
More
way
than that?
More, yeah.
So what'd you do with all of your negatives and slides?
I have binders and binders and binders in storage. Every piece of film I ever took. Every single one. I've never thrown any of it away.
Is that amazing?
Much to my wife's chagrin.
With big cabinets, probably all
Well,
storage?
it's all in binders. So
Okay.
I had a whole wall in my office at one time with just binders, and I number them 1 through, for the job, not per piece of film. So it's like job number 20. I got a filing system to find them. But now I'm struggling with the thought: do I throw all this away? And my wife's saying, "Yeah, throw it all away. Pick the very best from each shoot, throw all this away." So it's hard.
If you scan all that images, where do you put it all, right?
All goes on storage.
You're putting it all in storage. First thing, there's no perfect storage. We know this. Even your slides and things like that.
That's true.
If you get a fire, flood, all of your images are gone.
Silverfish.
Yeah, something, and it's acetate. I mean, it'll just kind of like go away after time. So we have to be very careful about our storage. And now, because we're dealing with all digital imaging, it's all hard drives. It's CDs, DVDs, things like this. So really, the first thing I can only give to anybody having advice is redundancy. Have it in multiple places. Have multiple drives. Otherwise, if you do have a catastrophic event happen, well, you lose everything. We've got 3 different types of drives really in front of us now.
Okay.
You've got mobile drives,
Yep.
which are also called bus powered typically. So the computer supplies the power to them. We have desktop drives, which are going to be supplying the power is by an AC plug. So everything's plugged into the wall. And then you also have SSD drives, which can be either internal drives or external drives. And usually on external, they're going to be bus powered at that point too.
Really?
So they're not all 100% that way, but a lot of times they are going to be that way. The biggest disadvantage from a bus powered to a plug in the wall is speed. Usually you're going to have 5,400 RPM speed for drives or 7,200 RPM, but your size is going to be limited. So for instance, like let's see here, that's a 500 gig capacity drive, but it is speeding at 7,200 RPM.
7,200.
And that's literally how fast the data is going to write onto the drive or read off the drive. The faster the drive that reads and writes, the quicker you're able to put things onto the drive.
Your workflow.
The better your workflow, the faster your workflow. Video editing, you typically want to have 7,200 RPM drives minimum. 4K, we're really now dealing in like 10,000 RPM drives, if not going into RAID systems, which I'll talk about in one second.
Thunderbolt 2, and you almost have to do Thunderbolt 2 if you want to do 4K video editing.
Oh, yeah, on top of a RAID.
Yep.
So, but again, we'll hit that in a second. Solid state drives, one nice advantage is you don't have a lot of electrical, they don't take a lot of electricity to run them.
There's nothing spinning.
Because there's no spinning drives. So one big advantage there is we can get a higher capacity, faster read and write capabilities, but the price tends to be a little bit more expensive. So
Coming down rapidly though.
Yeah.
It is. It has crashed in the last. It's great. It's become more
Really
affordable.
great. Even a lot of the BlackMagic cameras just take direct solid
Now
state
they're
drives.
taking solid state drives. Yeah. So the nice advantage is we can take this right out of the camera, put it right into our computer and our reader, and literally edit the footage directly from that way. Now, editing is very destructive on drives, though. So
even on solid state.
You only have so many write and reads on a solid state
Even
drive.
on solid state. How is that?
Even on a solid
state.
state.
The case.
It's write cycles is what they consider that.
But your number is not like 10.
Oh no. It's like 500,000 write cycles counts. I mean, but the problem is
here.
I don't know, guys.
Well, no, they actually
Touch and go.
tell you literally replace your compact flash cards, your SD memory cards, anything that you're using on a production standpoint. You should replace it once every either year if you're using it all the time, or 2 years all the time. If you're not doing it so much,
Or
3 to 4.
once every 500,000 times, depending on which comes first.
Okay, Lars, you're on set, you're shooting, you have a card failure.
That's bad news.
I have never had a card failure, and I know this is
my
unique.
God.
I know it's unique. Exactly. It's like, but still get crappy cards. Like, is that?
That's a big thing.
Yeah, you have to get decent cards. And
Gotta get decent cards, but you should actually cycle those cards out.
Well, let's get back to storage.
That is one thing.
Okay.
So
Back to
storage. So we have single drives and you have RAID drives. Now, RAID, everybody's like, what is a RAID? RAID is basically a redundant array of independent drives. That's what it stands for. But a RAID really is multiple hard drives, and either with a RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. These are different RAID configurations, and that's how they read or write to the drives themselves.
So you have a 1-to-1.
If you do a 1-to-1, meaning I have all the drives inside the drive are additive, that's RAID 0.
Yep.
And the full capacity of this is going to be, for instance, this is like, 4 terabytes? So I have literally 2 terabyte drives in here, plus each other is going to be 4, so you have 4 total storage. Now, there's no redundancy to that,
Right.
so there's no safety involved,
Yep.
but
2-to-1.
I have the speed.
Yeah.
RAID 1, which is the other configuration that we usually want to use, is a mirrored system.
Yeah.
So it mirrors one drive to the other drive.
So one can go out, and the other one still got the information.
I have the ability of not losing any of my data at that point. But there's a couple different types of RAID configurations. Like this one has non-removable hard drives. Okay, so this is a Thunderbolt drive with non-removable hard drives. Now, if you want to pick that one up.
Absolutely.
This one actually has
this is the removable
hard
drives,
drives. So these are hot swappable drives now. Unlike all of these, where if I have a drive failure, and even if they're in a RAID configuration, I'm going to have a problem trying to replace the drive. I have to replace the whole drive typically. But with this one, I can replace the individual drive and it will rebuild itself.
And it'll indicate, right? We got a drive with a
does.
problem.
It does.
This I have Drobos. I have a whole world of Drobos, and so they're going to start going. This drive's a problem, so you pull it out, and put a new one in.
So one of the biggest advantages of RAIDs is we have our safety precaution. So if I have one fails, everything is still there. Now, again, in catastrophic environment that happens, something like crazy, I will lose everything. However,
Well, how
at
about in the
least I'm
case of
normal.
a Viking raid, and someone breaks into your house and steals your drive?
Speaking of raids,
Speaking of raids, now you got a problem.
That's a good. Oh my! I walked into that one. No, so
But reality is, you kind of have to have it off-site.
you have to have it off-site if you
off-site
really
storage
want to
as
do
well.
that. There was a I hate to bring it up, the World Trade Center, when that went down, many corporations had all their data down in
Everything that.
basement, and they didn't have it on a second site because they were figuring what would ever happen.
Yeah.
Well, Canon actually lost a lot of footage, or a lot of data, if I remember, because they had a lot of stuff in there. But all sorts of companies had lost data because of that scenario. But now a lot of companies are doing one here in this location, one in another location.
Spreading it out.
So they're spreading it out. So you could literally have one in your office, one at your home, and there are now intelligent ones enough, like LaCie does make what's called a five drive system. It's one of their enterprise lines up, if I'm not mistaken, that actually will redundant itself to another drive, but you have to have now dedicated IP lines, etc., so that it
tie
can
them
dial
together.
into the other, and it will copy. If you do anything on this one tonight, it will duplicate it on the other side. If you do anything on that
But you
side,
got to have a
it'll duplicate.
dedicated line between those two?
You have to have a dedicated IP address, basically, for these to work that way. The key advice also is it's not a matter of if the drive will fail, it's a matter of when the drive will fail.
Yep.
All drives will fail, no matter what they are. I hate to bring that up. I hate to say that. But typically drives will last 3 to 5 years. If you do video editing with them, 1 to 2.
Unless it's solid state.
Unless
I
it's solid
still
state?
think solid state, even though you've got the rewrite, it's not like every time I turn it on, it's wearing on an actual...
No, it doesn't wear. It's just the sectors themselves will start to go bad over time.
That does not make sense to me.
I know. And you don't change your oil in your car either, do you?
I absolutely do every 3,000 miles.
Of course he does.
That's a moving part.
I know.
Right?
I
So
know
it's
what
like,
you're saying.
so it's solid. It just doesn't make sense to me that a solid state drive would, the sectors would fail after
Do
time.
LEDs fail? Yes.
Well, of course.
Over time.
Everything
will
fails.
fail.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that's not going to... Even this gun is going to cease to
these
work.
But there is no physical property of a 0 and 1. It just is.
Yeah, but there has to be a power
That's-
supply.
but
There's
that's
got to
in
be
a
circuitry.
perfect
There has to be
world.
something.
Yeah.
It's a perfect world
Yeah.
environment. Actually, if you want to really say it, the controllers usually will go out.
Okay.
Something has
So
to...
Okay.
something
All right.
will fail on it, and
Gotcha.
that's where you do have only so many right
Power
cycles that they
surge,
say.
if you hit it every...
Anything can happen. So that's why you get portable solid state drives like any of the Lexar or the Porsche design from Lassie, solid state from SanDisk. Portable drives, these are very popular. I mean, content for delivering. Are you delivering content by DVDs or are you delivering content on hard drives?
I haven't done anything on DVD in forever. If they really want the whole shoot, if you're doing a video shoot, we'll send them one of these Lacey drives. I just put it in the bill. Put it on the bill and just put it on there and ship it out.
They're like $69 these days for a
Well,
terabyte
these
or
are.
whatever.
These Thunderbolt ones are almost 200.
I guess, yeah. But if you...
But you can get some of the less expensive Western Digital
Western Digital
drives
ones,
and that. Yeah.
So,
Which we do that a lot, the Western Digital Digitals.
Yeah, you have a lot of varieties nowadays, and that's the one biggest thing. Is just remember redundancy. If you do get into raids, if you need speed, you want to use typically like a RAID 0 for striping.
Right.
RAID 1 is for the protection side, so that's where it stripes it actually mirrors
It mirrors
everything.
yeah. RAID 5, explain it to me. So it's like a...
RAID 5 is typically where they take. You need to have a minimum of like 3 drives or 4 drives to do a RAID 5. So
It doesn't do a perfect mirror, though. It does.
It's not a perfect mirror because they usually use what is called a parity sector, and that's basically like kind of a copycat or a B-tree copy.
It's a striping process, is it not?
It's first copies all the data onto each one of the drives, but they also use a little bit of a stripe mechanism that is on each one of the drives that tells the other one, okay, this is what was supposed to be there. This is what's supposed to be on this one. If you do have a single drive failure, a lot of times your RAID is intact, no problem. You replace the drive, you're okay. A lot of times you can have 2 drives even
On the
fail in that
Drobo,
particular
with the
situation.
5 drive set, you can lose 2, and your information's still there.
So
But it means you're not getting as much storage because you're
Of course.
using 2 as backup. basically.
So that's where your
20
redundancy
terabytes,
starts coming in.
12.
But now you also usually have on the Drobo system a speed impact though too. So Drobos are not the fastest, even though they're actually one of the most unique drive systems. That's why they call it a data storage robot, because you can add drives at any given time. Where typically RAIDs, you actually configure it one time. There are some now hybrid RAIDs out there where they call them like a RAID 1 plus, or a RAID 10, or a RAID 6 is like another one out there, where it's usually got like a secondary drive that's actually just as a backup the whole time, and then if one fails, it comes right into play. So there are some options out there to reconfigure these things, but a lot of times you set them up one time, you don't worry about it after that. When you fill it up, you then basically would get another RAID. But you can access them all the time. You will notice this one says Enterprise on it though. A lot of people also asked about drives themselves. You have 2 different types of drives, an Enterprise drive and you have a standard drive. Standard consumer drives, they last maybe a few years without a problem. Enterprise drives are designed to go 24/7. For real long-term period. Now you will pay a premium for those drives.
Yeah, what does this run?
Are you talking about, this is, the drives are built in.
The
no, I thought this was a drawer you put them in. So
But what they have is basically what's called Enterprise. And
That's
Enterprise,
the hard drives you're putting into
those are
the
the
case.
type of drives you're putting in the casing. Those drives will last usually 100,000 hours or something like that. So it's like some absurd amount of time. But it's designed for servers. Web-based applications that are constantly needing access to the data. Those are the companies that will put enterprise drives in because they want to have the longest life out of any drive that they're going to use.
Gotcha.
So as a photographer, I mean, hey, I'm looking at it going, I can buy it one time and I really don't have to worry about it as much. I still have the redundancy because I'm going to use this as a RAID 1 system. So I only in this particular case get 2 terabytes of storage though.
I know.
So, okay, I can jump up though in size. They do make these in 8s, 12s, and even now 16s. It's awesome. It's like a 12 right now for one of these guys. Not the Enterprise series, you're going to be looking at about $1,000.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're actually getting 6 terabytes of storage.
That's really not too bad. $1,000 for a RAID.
I spent $2,000 for a Drobo with 5 drives.
So 20 terabytes.
20 terabytes.
So you get a 12 terabyte RAID.
Yep.
So 16
Yeah.
terabytes, you're looking at $12.99. If I needed to go bigger, they also have 10, 20s, and 30s. And then you're going to be looking around maybe $2,500.
So quick in the field, little step up. Go for it, Ken.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mobile, very nice, portable. You can always bring it back, give it to clients. Keep on the desktop itself. You want to keep it smaller. As a backup for your hard drive, not a problem. These are great for that. If you want to start storing your stuff for more of a permanent basis or long-term usage, I'd go into something like this with the removable drive systems. These are fantastic. Just think about how much you're shooting and think about how much you're going to want to store and how much access do you want to have to it.
A little storage information from Ken. Just a little. Hopefully it answers all those questions for you.
Or
Plenty of
makes
backups
more.
there.
That's right. So keep those cameras rolling, keep on clicking. Okay, today on Trends from the Trenches, we're going to answer questions and read some great comments that people have sent in the last little while in April. I'm going to start off with a question I just got emailed just about 2 days ago.
Okay.
They asked me, what platform do I use to deliver images on? I use both Squarespace and I use also Zenfolio. Squarespace was a little slow in the uptake, but has actually, I think, eclipsed Zenfolio now as far as what they can do. But you can put galleries on there. People can download the galleries. You can buy prints off the galleries. Both those platforms are really effective right now. It gives you great gallery space. It gives you the ability to host your website. There's some really great templates there. Anyway, those are my 2 choices. That's my thought.
Great.
All right, this one comes from Kevin Clements.
Okay.
Guys, you missed the real point of the Arkansas law. It was meant to deter average Joes taking pictures of police doing illegal stuff. They can try to mask it, but it was pushed by ultra-conservatives with ties to police organizations. Google it.
So referring to what we said about
Street photography being illegal
in Arkansas.
Kevin, there's a conspiracy out there somewhere that's waiting for you. Moving on, Kevin.
Yeah. All right, moving on.
Joshua, if you're an artist, i.e. street photographer, you have a right to sell your art and even advertise it.
Interesting.
You don't need releases for art. The courts have upheld photo artists' rights many times. If you turn around and sell it to McDonald's, you've crossed the line. You are using a likeness for corporate advertising.
Okay, so I think we did mention that,
I think
right?
so, yeah. Well, maybe we didn't say it correctly, but I guess clarification is that if I take a picture of Lars walking down the street and I sell it as an art piece
in your gallery,
in my gallery,
it's okay.
I sell prints, that's okay. I don't have to have your model release.
Yes.
But I sell it to McDonald's because you had a cup of McDonald's
here's an ad,
in
and it's,
yeah. Now you have a problem.
Yeah. Interesting.
I think that's, thank you for clarifying that because
that's good to know.
That is definitely good to go. It makes a lot of sense. All right.
Next one. This comes from photographer Jonathan.
Photographer Jonathan. All right, Jonathan.
All right, here we go. So Canon will never give anyone an update for the 5D Mark III so it can record 60 frames per second. Canon is a company that takes the headphone jack out of the new 5DS.
Thank you for that.
So it won't compete with their own 5D Mark III or 5D Mark IV whenever it's announced or comes out, even though they made the 5DS in the identical bodies, the 5D Mark III, that was already designed with the headphone jack inside. Wow. So it's the same body? They just,
oh, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
They just pulled the headphone jack.
But what really makes me angry...
They wanted to make sure, it's like a clear sign from Canon saying this is not for video.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that, I think.
I am too. You need that kind of megapixel for, but see, everyone wants everything in one package, which would be nice. It would be nice.
But Canon's got their cinema line that they've invested in. They want, people to have a separation there.
We're feeling bad for Canon.
But what really makes me angry about the camera industry is that they lower the prices of their product after it's been out a couple years instead of just keeping the price until it's discounted, until it is discontinued, sorry. When you buy a car for $25,000, 3 years later the car still sells new for the same price or higher.
on the lot, I
Okay.
guess. So if you buy a brand new car, 3 years, well, cameras aren't like that. Unfortunately, who is this?
Photographer Jonathan.
All right, unfortunately, photographer Jonathan, cameras are computers, and computers, unfortunately, they depreciate pretty quickly as technology changes, and that's kind of the problem we're dealing with.
As we stabilize the market, like we did with film years ago, it will become, we will get to the point where there won't be significant updates in newer cameras that come out. And so they will retain their value a little bit longer, I think.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I think that the market's kind of leaning that direction. They need to start creating a little more brand commitment and consumer kind of...
It's like the 5DS. I shot a wedding with a photographer yesterday, and I asked him, I said, so you going to buy the 5DS? And he goes, because he had two Mark IIIs, right? And he goes, no. And that's the end of that story. And, you know, so it's like, because there's just not enough updates now that are starting to happen where it's starting to stabilize and people are very satisfied with the images they're getting. So
Isn't that it? I mean, in the end, you're a wedding photographer, you shoot all these gorgeous images and everyone wants to put them on the internet. And a few people will make prints in an album, but not that many anymore. I mean,
but even if you do, I mean, 24
well, I don't know,
megapixels
that album business is
23
very
great.
robust, so I shouldn't say that. People are buying albums, but
Yeah.
but most of it ends up on the internet.
Yeah.
So
you know, and 23 megapixels is more than the internet will ever need, or prints for that matter. It's just, it's good, you know, unless you're putting it up on a big billboard that you're going to look at 3 feet away from. You know, it's like, so I don't know.
all right, well, let's go on because this one relates to the next one. You guys should mention Fujifilm as a company.
We should mention Fujifilm as a company.
We should.
They are a company.
They are a company, Fujifilm, as a company that updates their firmware and is committed to their customers making their cameras better as time passes.
I'm sure
that's a
this
good thing
is-
to know.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
I just don't use Fujifilm, and it's my fault for not bringing it up necessarily more on this channel. But I have played with some of their cameras before, their full frame stuff. It's amazing stuff. I can't believe how light it is. It just blew my
it's
mind.
fabulous.
Their 85 millimeter 1.2 lens with their body just blows my mind. It's so light. So I need to play with those cameras more. I think I agree with this one.
Let's go to Ken Tuck's tripod.
Ken talks tripods. All right, so Felipe Henoa?
Yeah.
All right. Said,
is.
I was loyal to Manfrotto, but Enduro is my new choice for stills. For video, Manfrotto, double legs are very good, and thanks some nice tips.
I thought that was a great piece that we did on
too.
tripods.
Yeah.
I actually, the Benro, just the video head, the fluidity of the video head on the Benro is just fabulous.
That's
The
it.
Manfrotto was not as easy to use. I didn't find it as useful. The Benro I picked up here is really nice.
Manfrotto, you're gonna pay more for the name because they're established and and some of the products are good, but I'm telling you, man, the Benro S8 video head, just for smaller cameras, is just wonderful. I really like
fabulous.
it. Up to 13 pounds, I think, is probably a pretty good weight for that tripod. So a video on monopods. So Arshan, wedding photographer. Maybe we should.
Do a video all about monopod. That's a great idea.
We can do that. Yeah.
We can do that. Hey JP, I love watching your videos for some time now. My hope is to be able to create some of the things you've done, but I do want to ask what has been happening lately. I've noticed more of just basic product reviews and things seem to have lost focus. Are you okay? Feeling good. Feeling good. Okay. I miss
the concern,
it.
John.
I do actually. So he's concerned what's happening, and he goes on to say that it feels like our videos have lost their we have a lot more review stuff that's come up on the page lately, but still the same amount of lessons. We put 2 of the teaching lessons up a month, and have never stopped that for almost 3.5, going on 4 years now. And so 2 of those go up every month. You just see a lot more product stuff on there, but so we're still there, more content, and but the stuff is there.
Appreciate the concern.
I do appreciate the concern.
You doing okay?
I am. I'm doing good. Are you? You doing okay?
Just closed on a house.
Just bought a house. How could he not be doing okay?
Just found out. Like,
Are you kidding me? Now he's
15
in
minutes
debt
ago.
up to his eyeballs.
I know. It's crazy.
Okay, going on here. Which C-stand would you prefer? Turtle base or slide leg?
Ooh, I got an option.
Go for it. Let's hear it, because I have my opinion.
Sliding leg, 100%. Turtle base, whatever. But sliding leg, I can't tell you how many times I've had to set up something on a hill or I need a rocky mountain, and sliding leg, 100%.
Rocky Mountain, that's the name.
Yeah.
One can go up on a hill or whatever. So
Yeah,
absolutely,
so if you're
sliding
on
leg
a
is
slant.
much more useful. Much more useful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. Absolutely.
Easy peasy.
Yep, great, we got one.
Yeah.
We had one, we actually had an answer to.
Yeah.
Photoshop and Lightroom tutorials by fallingknowledge.com. Is it wrong for me to never shoot in a mode that lets the camera calculate anything? I'm always shooting in manual mode and always shooting in manual flash mode. What is your opinion on that? I am glad you asked that question. I shoot a lot of times, if I'm shooting sunset stuff and I'm shooting fast, I'll put it on P all the time.
Really?
You know, absolutely, and I just use an exposure compensation to give me, because I'm changing it fast and I can look at it, and I do that all the time. I think there's really some valid times to put it on. If I've decided I want to keep my aperture at a certain thing, and I'm going to let the shutter drag in when I'm shooting strobe sometimes, I'll let the shutter start to drag, and so, I mean, there's ways to combine. To say you should always shoot in manual is like just a one-legged camera. You know, it's got a lot of other options. No one wants a one-legged camera.
You make a valid point.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
This camera only has one leg.
That camera has one leg. That is defective. Yeah. Old film cameras used to be one-legged cameras.
I need at least 2 legs on this camera for it to walk.
I'm glad you see my point, Lars.
Yes, I do, I think.
So I use the other modes depending on, and I should do some lessons on how, in fact, I did one, shooting the setting sun. I can't remember the exact lesson. We were shooting a truck out on location. I can't remember the name of the lesson, but I put that in P, and I exposed as the sun went down because I was shooting really fast. And I was shooting actually 2 cameras. But So I think there's times.
Wow.
But generally speaking, I'm in manual, you know, but just depends on the situation.
Lidge, 1994. I wonder if that's when Lidge was born.
Maybe.
Said, I've been learning a bit about digital photography. I'd probably never do it professionally, but I'd love to buy a camera and maybe sell photos to stock photo sites. I'm wondering, do you think a Nikon D5200 would be a good place to start? Unfortunately, I'm jobless, so I won't get a camera anytime soon, but I do intend to get one someday.
Great question. When it comes to stock sites, if you want to sell in those kinds of places, you want as many megapixels as you can get.
Is that like a standard?
Well, you know, if you want to sell to Getty, they have a list of cameras. So go to Getty's site, look it up, and just type in cameras acceptable for Getty stock, and it'll list the cameras that they accept on there, and so you can decide. So I've always shot on the larger cameras, and when I looked at the Fuji X100. It's an APS-C sensor, and it wasn't on their list, and so it wasn't quite enough information. So I'm not sure about this camera. I'm guessing you should probably step up to something like the 7D, which the 7D will be on that list. It is on the list. And either the old one, so you can buy the old one, even though it's a smaller frame and the megapixel, it's on their list. So
yeah, you can pick one up for $600-700 on Craigslist.
You can get a used 7D or
you
the
can
new
get
one.
the new one because it's got some incredible
Great
autofocus.
focusing options.
Yeah. Just come pick one up at Sammy's.
Yep. Don't put your eggs in the stock basket. I always tell people that you can make money in stock, but you really have to make images that cost you no money to create. I mean, you can't start paying for models and paying for location and doing all and paying for makeup. You're not going to make your money back. If you spend $300 on an image, you'll not get your money back. So you got to be willing to get images that you create for nothing. You know, photograph your kids, photograph your family, photograph friends. You know, you got to create images that cost nothing, and also that trend with what's going on right now in the industry, like the new iPhone, show the things that are kind of industry trending right now in the images, and when you apply that to stock, those will sell a lot better.
It's great advice, actually.
Anyway, so there's a little bit of advice about stock photography.
Hello, I have a question about a strobe light.
What's the difference between a strobe light with indicator and a strobe light without indicator? We're not positive exactly what you're asking, but it sounds like the recycle light or something. I would step up so you see when it recycles, you have the ability to know when it's ready to shoot again. I mean, I guess that's what you're asking, but if not, give us another shout and we'll address it again.
All right. Love the video so far. Well, thank you, Curtis McDaniel.
Curtis, we love you.
Yeah.
Just want you to know. Dude.
All right, moving on. I don't even want to see what he has to say.
That's right.
No, all right, let's see. Was really wondering if it would be possible to have a green screen lighting video. You have the DIY green screen. We do have that.
We do. Lars jumping over a car.
Yeah, that's true. That was fun. That was fun to do and dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Super dangerous.
Super dangerous.
But info on lighting a green screen would be great. I agree.
That would be a great lesson.
Just keep in mind, Curtis, that the biggest thing that you have to do when you're lighting a green screen is make sure you have separation between your talent and the screen itself.
Explain separation, because that's important for him to understand.
So a backlight, any kind of a backlight, is going to be good to separate what's the actual edges of your talent, maybe skin tone or a shirt or something they're wearing. With a backlight, will separate the color from the green fabric. So whatever you do, just light on the green screen. Backlight's important, and then a key light, fill light. It's pretty simple.
You know, it's fascinating because it's not like it used to be. When I first started out, you spend forever lighting the green screen. It's got to be perfect. Now people just throw them up in the background out on location in natural light.
And ambient light, just
I mean, just throw them up out there and away you go. So you just get them up, and as long as you got something to key, it cleans up pretty easily. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's as critical as it used to be.
And the key light software in After Effects is phenomenal. So if you're working in post with green screen, any kind of key light, even Premiere now, even Adobe is like implementing some really powerful tools on keying any color, let alone green screen.
Yep.
Yeah.
DMS Studios, what's the best portable light kit you can come up with that does not need a generator for under $2,000? Well, you're saying generator, you're talking about pack and head, I would guess. And so you're saying you want a monoblock, and boy, there's a lot of options out there for under $2,000 to put together a lighting kit. I mean, the Baja B4s, you can put 3 of those together for under $2,000 with the kits and with the lights and the stands and the case. You could certainly do that, and those are all battery portable. You got the lithium batteries and power 'em. We just used those on set a week ago, but plugged them in because we were on set, and we just let them keep charging, which is not ideal, but it didn't cause us any problem. We shot them all night.
We had 16 flashlights on set.
16. We had 4 setups at the same time.
Yeah.
Which the Pocket Wizard was kind of crazy to make sure everything was not firing everything else.
It's like you'd take one picture on one setup, and it would be like the flashes going all over the room. It's like, all right, we got to change something here.
Yeah, something's got to go. Oh, here we go. This is great. All right, here we go. Hey, great video as always. You probably don't read all the comments.
Hey,
here we are.
Mr. Slim Finger.
Love this guy.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
All right,
guy.
but I have a request for you. I'm going to start shooting some guitar tutorials in my small hobby room, and I want to achieve as acceptable result as possible in terms of how I'm lighting myself and the scene. I've been doing lots of research and learned a lot about the basic concepts of 3-point lighting and such, but I simply can't find any tutorials about how to apply these ideas to a small room. We have a video out there for you. It's called 5 lighting setups for your home or office studio. That'll give you the information you need and help you get on your way.
Yeah.
So check that out. It will talk about exactly this. It's shooting in a small space, and it's 3-point lighting in a small space. It's made to overcome this problem, this very problem. So check that out. Okay, going on here. John McLean. Yes, John, we are going to post the final video from the SKB How to Make a Case video that we shot out on location. That will be coming up. I think we just finished it up this week. It should be up here within the week.
You know, I saw it at NAB.
Oh, did you?
I did. I went to the
that wasn't the final. They're going, please give us anything.
Oh, it was great. I watched it, and it was awesome. They had a little booth there set up and playing on a loop. I thought it was really, really entertaining, and they were excited about it. They were really excited about it.
All right. Also, please send us ideas, other things you want to get, you want to see lessons about. The green screen is a great one we heard here today. Monopods, that would be a great one for Ken. Talk about monopods.
Yeah.
Be a good one for Ken.
I never use monopods. Never.
If I shoot an event, you know, where you're doing video at an event, they are fabulous. They're absolutely fabulous. Especially it's the Manfrotto, Manfrotto that has a video head on it, and it's got a lever you stand on the bottom, you can raise and lower it.
Oh, cool.
And it's just quick to use. If you're in that kind of run and gun situation, it works out really well.
Yeah, I should get them on a pod.
Okay,
Use one.
so thanks for your comments. Thanks for your questions. We'll try to address this, if not monthly, at least every other month. But keep sending those questions in, and we will answer them on the air, live. Well, we're not dead.
So this has been Prince from the Trenches. Check us out on Facebook, also on YouTube, and the podcast. Don't forget the podcast. Still happening every week. It is still happening every week. Is it happening, Kate? Are you putting it up? Is it online? I wonder if you walked around LA, how many people would even look at you?
None. If you walked around like this and on Hollywood Boulevard, not a single look. Nothing.